Okay, so here we are on the driver's side. We started on the passenger side, and I'm going to admit that was a fiasco. That was crazy. The biggest problem I had is you don't have to take this hub assembly off right here to get it off and on, because it's what we had to do on the other side. However, it'd make a whole heck of a lot easier. So the problem is my impact sockets only go up to a 24. This is probably about a 26, 28, somewhere along in there. If you can take that off, it's gonna make your life easier. I just didn't have it, and I'm 30 minutes away from Lowe's. So yeah, you hear a train truck backing it. But you have to take this cotter pin out right here. I don't know if you can see that. Cotter pin right there around that nut. I don't know why the heck they have that on there. This is a tight, you can't get that off. I had a crescent wrench. I had my son holding this as hard as he could, and it turned this whole thing with it. So if you get that off, probably an impact wrench, that'll make everything easier, because you have to reach in behind this to put these springs on. But we got it, and knock on wood, if there's any wood around here, it seems like it's working good. So some things to look at. Take plenty of pictures. There are 3 springs. There's one spring on top. Let's see if I can get that in there. If you can see that, one spring on top there that holds those brake pads. They pull them together. There's 2 on the bottom. Let me see if I can get it turned around here. You're probably looking at me. Hello. I don't know if you can see that. There's 2 on the bottom. One reaches to a little apparatus that adjusts the brakes, and they're supposed to be self-adjusting. When you back up and hit the brakes, it turns that. And if you can see, I'm touching it right here. It's got like a little cog. You twist that one way or another, and it spreads this thing out right here. I don't know if you can see it, but that spreads that out, spreads those brake pads farther apart. One of those springs hooks right here on the bottom hole on that brake pad, and hooks around a hook inside on that self-adjuster. Then there's another longer spring that hooks on the back side of that same hole right there. I hope that's getting that. Let me turn things. Sorry, hang on with me, bear with me. That hooks on the back side of that same hole as that same spring, and it hooks on the other brake pad. But that bigger, thicker spring hooks on the self-adjuster. So you got 3 springs, one on top, pad to pad, one on the bottom, the smaller spring on the inside, pad to pad. But the bigger spring hooks on the pad, and the other end hooks around the self-adjuster. It is a booger. I'll just say that because I don't want kids watching this to hear me cuss, and I have done plenty of cussing today. And also these little yellow things, it's got like a little flat thing. You have to depress that spring, twist that, and it'll slide right off. And then you just put the brakes down in the opposite direction. So hopefully you got a little brake pad, drum brake experience. Go back and watch. It's kind of set up like a car. It's not like an ATV at all, okay? That's more like a car. So if you know how to do a car, you could probably do this just fine. I did not. I had to figure it out as I went. Plus I had a friend of mine kind of explain it to me. So that was the only thing. But if you can, get that off, take his assembly off. It'll make life easier, okay? So anyway, I'm gonna pause you here, and then I'm gonna come back when we kind of get this thing off, okay? All right, so to start, there's this yellow thing. It's a spring. If you see that, depresses down, and you have to kind of press in with some kind of sharp needle nose pliers at the same time and twist that. Whoops. Yeah, I'm clumsy. Get in there. You may have to kind of hold it. There you go. And see, when you twist it, that pops off, and see your pad's already trying to come off. So you see it's got that slot in it. It has to fit over the slot of that thing. That pin will come out the back. Just go ahead and let it come out. Your pads are going to try to come apart here. Watch your eyes. It may hit you right in the eyes. But see how the springs are pulling them toward each other? just take them apart. Okay, let all those springs, but be sure before you get this far, take plenty of pictures of both ends of all 3 springs, because if you don't, you'll be in the same shape I was and don't know how in the heck they go back on. Okay, so make sure you do that. Again, if you can get all this off, it'll make it easier, but if you can't, you can do it around it. It's just a lot harder. So anyway, take pictures of this end, both ends of both these springs, and remember that thicker spring in the front hooks to this self-adjuster right here. Okay, I'm gonna put you on pause again to get all this off. Okay, so I've got the springs loose. I'm gonna show you here. Let me let Braden work the camera, hold the camera.
Okay.
So this is how they work. So this thicker, look, these are the 2 springs that hook to both ends, hook to the pads. Okay, and here's the spring that hooked to the tensioner. Okay, so I want you to notice right here, look at this end right here, the weird angled end. Make sure that that end right there hooks into your pad. Okay, so this end hooks around the lever for the brake self-tensioner. So and notice the shape of them. Okay, so that's got that angle. Can't see it against the ground there. That's got that weird angle. They've got all 3 of these hooked to the brake pads, both these in the bottom hole, this in the top, and this one in the top hole of the other brake pad, and this one in the bottom hole of the other brake pad. This end hooks around the self-tensioner. Now look right up here. Okay, so if you'll look here, I'm gonna take this end of it out. Be careful, there's a couple little washer things on the back of that right there. So that sticks in a little tube, and that slot has to be straight up and down, because when your pad hooks back in that, take a look at here, that has to go in straight like that right there. Okay, now there's that little cog thing we talked about. That's the self-adjuster that when you mash your brakes, this thing goes forward, this thing slides forward. Let me get you here, right here, and bumps against that, and as that works right there, turns that self-adjuster. Okay, so that's what, when you back up and hit the brakes, it turns that and adjusts that in and out to adjust your brakes. Hopefully you can see. I don't know about the light right there, but anyway, there's all the springs and stuff off. I wish I could have got this off. It would have made life easier, but nothing I do is ever easy anyway. So clean all this really good with brake cleaner. I've got some Advanced Auto Parts brake cleaner right there. I picked up yesterday, and I noticed when I sprayed it all down, it really helped clean it up good. And my friend said you can get you a brake, or excuse me, a steel wool pad and scrub all that. And he said that gets kind of slick like glass, but you want it a little bit rough, and probably wouldn't hurt to wipe all that out. See all that brake dust? There's a lot more brake dust on this side, so I think these pads were not good. And I took this wool right here. What I did is went around the other side. Of course, I'll get a rag to wipe it out and blow it out real good first, and then I'll scrub that, because your pads make contact with this. This is how it makes it stop. And hopefully, if I'm still alive after I test drive it and the brakes work, you'll know this process works. I'll let you know if I'm dead or not. Never mind that bolt. That's the one that I put that in there to help lift that off with, and that does help, by the way, when you take that off. But anyway, get all that clean as you can. Clean all your springs, all your inside parts, all your moving parts with the brake cleaner. I'm going to do that and be back in just a minute. Okay, so we're back. I've not started putting it back together yet. I'm honestly afraid I dread this. The springs are terrible, but I wanted to show you. Right there is that slotted cogged self-adjuster. I don't know what the correct terminology is. I'm an old country boy, but notice how that lever works in and out. Let me take this out like this. See, it works in and out. So when you back up and you put your brakes on, it kind of moves that out, and then when you I think when you move forward, or maybe as you stop completely, it moves that back in. So see, it hits these little cogged areas right here, this little cog right here, and turns that. And as that turns that, it holds the slot holds that in place, and it twists that in and out, and that's what spreads your brake pads farther apart to set your brakes up. So you go backwards, hit your brakes a few times, and that apparatus works right there to tighten your brakes up, and that's how that works. So anyway, I just want to show you that. I thought that's pretty neat once it clicked with me. My friend tried to explain it to me, and I don't know, it didn't fall into place till I got my hands on it.